Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Thursday, February 28th, 2019. I have with me today American Man 1967, and we're going to comment on a few stories that are in the news right now. And I'd like to start with this is kind of an update to a story that I did about the futures market shutting down for 3 hours on Tuesday night. That would be the 26th of February. And turns out that was because of an escalation of tensions on the border region between Pakistan and India. And apparently, they're trying to de-escalate this tension that's forming between the two of them. They've been at odds for many years over a strip of land. It was at Kashmir, I think. Um, but I think that this particular thing is probably going to de-escalate. I don't know what actually started it. I heard something about a truck bomb that actually started this, but it ended up being tensions in which India had sent two fighter jets into Pakistan airspace, and one of them was shot down by Pakistan in their territory, and apparently. I've read all kinds of stories on this now, or at least seen all the headlines on them. There's stories, all kinds of crazy stories that he's been tortured. I don't know if it's true or not, but it is the story that's going out there. But I'd like to show real quick the silver chart because it looks different now. Here's the silver chart for the 26th, the evening hours of the 26th of February, and the spike was 60 cents when I did my video, but now miraculously the spike looks like it was only about 20 cents that evening. So it looks like history's already been rewritten. What do you think about all this, American Man? Have you looked in this India-Pakistan thing?
I briefly heard about it Tuesday, so no, I don't really, I'm not that familiar with it. But I can remember over years that there's kind of tensions be going between these two countries that have been escalating off and on for quite some time over, I don't know, to me it would be trivial things, you know, but it sounds about right, you know.
Oh,
Sometimes governments find some of the most ridiculous reasons to try to go to war.
yep. And it's in this case, I think it's over land or something, but it looks.
Probably.
I just found something really quick here that this apparently started with a suicide bombing that killed 40 Indian paramilitary troops in Indian-controlled Kashmir, and they
Wow.
responded with a pre-dawn airstrike on Tuesday inside Pakistan. And the
Wow.
first of such raids since 1971. So it's the first time they've gotten this heated between the two of them since 71, I guess. And I think it was
Yeah.
73 is when they actually signed some sort of armistice to de-escalate tensions and to keep things as peaceful as possible out there. But right now, they're working on de-escalating again. So if there's any new news on this, by the way, the reason why this is kind of big news is the futures markets actually shut down on the evening hours of February 26, 2 days ago. And no one really knew at the time. I certainly didn't. There was a comment on a Zero Hedge article that was talking about, well, India is bombing Pakistan or something, and I thought it was a joke. I mean, there were no news stories. The interesting thing about this is there were no news stories on this at the time. There just weren't. This is something that's highly unusual when you have tensions between Pakistan and India that is literally being passed over by the media. And I suspect many things here, but I do know what was in the news cycle at the time. And that was all the stuff going on with Trump and the Senate hearings and Cohen and all that crap. So
Yeah.
that
Crap.
that is what the news cycle was, and apparently, to American mainstream media, that's those stories were much more intention or much more important than the intention, between Pakistan and India to escalate some kind of minor skirmish into something much bigger. So I think that this is worth looking into. I will go ahead and link the story below. You can actually get all the information you need from the story. But the fact is, they are working on de escalating right now. The tensions are still high. Um, but American Man, that's all I have on this particular story, unless you have something else.
I really wanted to ask you real quick. Now that we're still on the subject, what country is it right next to China that actually has themselves believing that they would stand a chance against China if China periodically invades them just on the border? Is it India?
Well, yeah, you have India right next to China. There's a whole bunch of countries: Mongolia, Kazakhstan. Um, oh boy, I'm trying to remember now. Afghanistan touches China. Pakistan touches China. Thailand, Vietnam,
Hmm.
Korea, parts of Russia.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly which one you're referring to.
I think it is India, and India and China keep having this game right on the border, back and forth, where their troops are actually engaging in hand-to-hand combat and small arms fires. But I just wanted to bring that up just for the heck of it. But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Move to our next story. As we do a podcast on three stories right now, which is no deal for the Vietnam summit, which
Oh yeah.
involved North Korea and, of course, our very own Trump. And yesterday it was being touted or lauded on Fox News as a giant success. Things were going awesome, and apparently everything broke down, and Trump even walked away. And it has something to do with eliminating sanctions. So apparently Kim Jong Un or Kim Jong Il, or I call him Little Kim. Little Kim apparently literally was demanding all sanctions against his country be taken away for them to do what Trump had asked, which was removal of approximately, I think it was 2/3 of their nuclear armaments. And so, at any rate, uh, Trump said no. So that's basically what the story is. And so there is no treaty between the United States and North Korea. I wasn't expecting a treaty out of this one, but I also didn't expect Trump to literally just walk away. But that's how he conducted business before he was president, too. That's part of his strategy whenever he's involved in a business deal. So, American Man, anything on that?
Yeah. First of all, to all you Trump supporters out there, got to understand that Trump struck out again, and I look at the way Trump now. I see things in a different light. The way Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, I guess the way he negotiates now is how a guy would approach a dating situation. And I'm using this analogy because I'm currently on the dating scene. Is that Trump likes to act like the person he's negotiating with is the woman and he's the man. And the strategy is not to act too desperate or too needy, and to try and keep them at arm's length, push them away so they will come running to you, and you will pretty much seal the deal. And so Trump wants to be the big dog coming into every situation. And if he can't get what he wants, he's going to cut all ties, walk away, and he's going to ignore you for a short time. And then he's going to come back with just a little bit of poke at you, still show a slight bit of interest, but still try to have all the cards in his hand. And that's how Trump negotiates deals now. I figured this out. And so
Yeah,
Trump's not stupid. He's smart, and he's been doing what he's been doing it for a long time, and that's why he wrote his book called The Art of the Deal. But at the same time, and you know just as well as I do, this whole game with being the president is nothing but just that. It's a game. My opinion, Trump needs to concentrate on what's going on right here in America instead of going out abroad trying to act like he's everybody's daddy. He needs to be concentrating on what's going on here in the country. He needs to be taking care of problems here at home, like infrastructure, spending money on infrastructure. What state is doing what against its own citizens, as far as a lot of states like California, New York, and Oregon, and different parts of the country that are very liberal and progressive? They keep passing laws that go against the Constitution of the United States. And you know exactly, TC, what it is that I'm talking about. So go ahead. I don't want to take over this podcast. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. Your comments are welcome and appreciated and valuable. Um, that's
Thank you.
that's my opinion too. I mean, that's this is no different from any other business deal that Trump would have done if he never became president. He
Right.
intimidates and walks away, and then comes back. Where he is a little less of a lion, willing to give in just a little bit to get a little more. Sometimes a little bit to get a lot more, and that's just the way he
Right.
does things. But I this whole North Korea thing came out of the blue as far as I was concerned when he came into office, because it was all about going after Russia. We need to go to war with Russia. When Trump was running for president, and as soon as he became president, suddenly North Korea became an issue. And
Right.
it's kind of interesting how it worked that way. So, which of these are real? Which of these are theater? Are any of them real? I guess is the question I keep asking myself, because there's an enormous amount of theater going on right now. And also, that includes all the stuff going on right now in the Senate. And so that's why I'm not covering that. I want a little more of the dust to settle before I cover that a little bit more. Um, but that's pretty much the end of that story. So we have apparently no deal with North Korea on them reducing their nukes. So, and then the third story that I'd like to cover is on Facebook. Facebook insider leaks docs, explains deboosting, troll report, and political targeting in video interview. Now, basically, what this is censorship. Now, we could go into all the minutia for all the words, all the semantics. What is deboosting? Demote bad content. You know, what do they consider hateful? But it just all comes down to the same thing, and that is
Right.
censorship. We're all used to it. We're
Right.
all, for instance, American Man knows exactly, shadow banning on YouTube, and all kinds of
Oh,
censorship on YouTube. You certainly know that, don't you?
oh, man, I'm telling you, I know it firsthand. I've got almost 200 videos on my American Man channel. And I don't even have 150 subscribers. And normally, most of my videos, I'm lucky if I get 25 views on. And I know that YouTube and Google are behind a lot of that. And it really frustrates me and it gets me angry. A family member of mine made a very good point, and I don't know how to explain why I stay there and continue to haul away at what I'm trying to do on YouTube. But he said, if the platform is as corrupt as everybody and yourself seems to think, why do you guys keep investing your time and making videos and putting it on there? Well, I guess I'm just stubborn and I'm not a quitter. And even though I know that YouTube and Google are a multi-billion or trillion-dollar company, however amount of money they got, so much backing financially, who knows? I'm not even going to begin to try and estimate. And I'm just a little tiny speck of dust at the bottom of a river. I'm not a quitter, and I'm not going to give up. And if I have to just have the liberty of being able to shake my fist at them, then that's all I can do. Then I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that's kind of the point of censorship, though, is basically injecting your brand of politics into a platform. And this
well,
is
yeah,
what YouTube does. They don't want certain types of material getting exposure, getting attention. For instance, I, looking at the site here, Project Veritas. I know that they a terrible time. Alex Jones is gone. He's been deplatformed. Like him or love him or hate him, his free speech has been taken away. And for those of
right,
you who are happy that Alex Jones has been deplatformed, think really, really hard about this, because they've taken away his free speech on YouTube, because they said he was engaging in hate speech. But the fact of the
right,
matter is, whether you consider it hate speech or not, it was free speech. Just because he doesn't like the
right.
government, just because he is pointing out corruption within the government, that becomes hate speech, apparently.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And here's the thing. Okay. Again, I have to bring Trump up and use him as an example because I have to. Um, Last year, Donald Trump signed a deal with NAFTA, which goes back to his 2016 campaign when he had Hillary Clinton up there. front of all of America and God, sitting there cutting her up, demonizing her, and putting her down for getting in bed with Nap. Okay. He turns around and does the same thing. And here's the kicker: over the Christmas vacation holiday, right? Christmas holiday, he and his cohorts shove in verbiage that allows social media sites on the internet more legal power to be able to do censorship on the internet and these platforms without there being any legal ramification. Donald Trump did that. This is the guy that ran on the premises of the First, Second, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. I don't understand it. It's confusing, but it tells me that he's not the outsider that everybody seems to think that he is. And as far as I'm concerned, all government wants to take away our constitutional rights, including our free speech.
Yep, I agree. In fact, we could, actually go even further into this. I mean, this is literally, like I said, just censorship. However, it's happening on all platforms. And it seems like
It is.
those who are want to talk about the Constitution of the United States, as American Man just mentioned, or restriction of freedoms, within our society here in America, apparently that's hate speech, and that is not appropriate content, and it certainly isn't available for monetization. So the platforms themselves are basically discouraging this. But one more thing I want to bring up about this, it was kind of interesting. SGT Report did a video yesterday showing how when you do searches for anything on Facebook now, there's more and more content coming from the main media at the top of the search. So CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, NBC, those videos will come up first in many searches. Um, so it is interesting because this whole platform was to get away from them because we don't like them because they're slanted. They don't tell the truth. Um, and now it's taking over because the algorithms within, and by the way, I'm not talking about Facebook right now, I'm talking about YouTube. But the algorithms are as such now that the mainstream media is actually the one that comes up when you do searching for stuff. And I think that's really, really sad. And I think ultimately YouTubers need to literally just leave, especially those who want to talk about these things, really need to deplatform themselves from YouTube and move over to different platforms such as BitChute or BitTube or DTube, whatever. Just get away from Facebook. I'm sorry, from YouTube. Now, as far as Facebook is concerned, which is the reason why I brought up this story, we've known about this from Facebook for a long time. So this is not new. However, before it was kind of taboo to talk about because we didn't have any official leaks from Facebook before, and now there's a leak talking about exactly these things, and the leaker actually got figured out and got fired because they leaked the fact that Facebook was actually doing this. So censorship continues, guys. The stranglehold is getting much more powerful, um, and we need to. I think need to pay very close attention to this. This is freedom of speech that is being taken away. I get that it's on a commercial platform that is owned by somebody, uh, but at the same time, do we want to run to the government and complain that we're not getting enough of our rights? Because the government is supposed to be doing that already. So it's a catch-22. I think for many content creators, I think they need to start looking at going into different platforms. What do you think about that, American Man?
Well, yeah, to be quite honest, I've been doing a lot of soul searching and thinking about this myself concerning my personal situation. And I'm finding that to be very true, TC. I'm going to have to start investing more energy and time in my BitChute channel, which is under the same name, American Man 1967. And I'm probably going to go over to RedTube or some other social media site and stop concentrating as much on YouTube as I've just been dumping too much time and energy into my YouTube channels. And I feel like it's for nothing. And it's becoming really frustrating. This is how I plan on, making revenue for myself. it's just it's this is America. We're supposed to be Americans. This is not supposed to be the Soviet Union. This isn't supposed to be the People's Republic of China. This isn't supposed to be Korea. We're supposed to be American. And it appears to me that China has their hand in our cookie jar and has had a lot of influence on what's going on over here in the United States. And I'm sure that you're aware that Google and China have worked together to come up with more algorithms and AI systems to censor their Chinese citizens and different programs that they're using over there in China. And now they're trying to bring these same ideas and systems over here to the United States. For example, a social credit system.
Hmm. Yep, and it gets
And
worse than that because actually, it's become news recently that China has infiltrated the American public education system, and
I did not know that.
we'll do a story about that sometime soon. It is important, but at the same time, they're infiltrating everything. So this should come as no surprise to the average American. Um, but they're in Hollywood, for instance. They own about 50% of Hollywood. So they have a lot of influence on the kind of movies that are created anymore. There's politics entering in the school system, basically to make communism look like a viable choice and to make sure to quote unquote teach about communism in public schools. And that's yeah, that's I have no problem with that. But being sympathetic to China, especially after stuff like Tiananmen Square, you can't be sympathetic to that, where they literally kill people, kill citizens for speaking out, having a voice, basically trying to raise awareness about the problems within their government. Um, People paid for that with their lives, in China. Now, in America, we're not paying for that sort of thing with our lives yet, but we are
Yes.
being demonetized. Well, Truth, Money, and Freedom is not monetized, and we have no intention of doing so. We may take donations at some point in time, um, but demonetizing these guys who are putting out incredibly good content that is an absolute necessity to get because free market, as far as news is concerned, is gone. It's history.
Right.
So people do come to YouTube to get their news, and this is just a fact. They do. How do we know this? Well, because people like X22 Report, SGT Report, even people like Mark Dice, Louder with Crowder, who does news as well. Who is more of a comedy show, but he actually brings up news. And
Right.
these are alternatives to the mainstream. And when they get demonetized to the point where literally they make no money doing this anymore, but they're still showing commercials, of course, on their on their videos.
Right.
YouTube is, but they don't get paid for it. So
Right.
that's YouTube gets to have their cake and eat it too in this particular instance. But it is something everyone should be aware of. I'm not sure how much researching this will help anybody because ultimately the solution to me is very clear, which is leaving YouTube at some point and starting making sure that you get something going on another platform. Now, I'm not sure that other platforms allow for monetization, but you can certainly accept donations no matter what platform you're on.
Yes. I think BitChute does allow monetization. I haven't really looked into it yet because I don't feel like I have enough big enough channel on there. But I'm going to be working on that here in the near future, actually. Also, can I say tonight that on my other channel, and I'm going to be having a live stream, and what time? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right, guys, I have a live stream channel. It's just for live streams on YouTube. It's called Not Fake News. And I got the name from TC. He had made the suggestion. I thought it was a good idea. And tonight, I'm going to be doing my second live stream here at 6 p.m. California time. That's 6 p.m. at California time. And we're going to be talking about why abortion is legal in America. And I've found out New York isn't the only state here in the Union, the United States, that allows full-term abortion. But see, mainstream media is not discussing this. So I'm going to be doing my research and find out a little more detail on these subjects and these issues concerning abortion. And guys, you need to come and join me because this is a real controversial topic and it's going to be a very interesting live stream.
Okay, thank you for that, and we'll see what we can do to link you up here at the bottom of this video. And I want to thank you all for taking more than just a few minutes with us this time. But we covered three stories here that I think are quite interesting and something for everyone, to think about. Um, and as far as censorship goes, guys, I mean, like I said, that's a clear-cut thing to me because we're not going to stop Google from censoring. We're not going to stop Facebook from censoring. If you remember, Mark Zuckerberg actually went and spent some time in front of Congress. And the ultimate thing was, first of all, they all, they didn't,
Live.
yeah, they basically said self-censorship, or I'm sorry,
Right,
self-regulation. I'm sorry, I meant to say regulation. They
right.
gave him the ability to self-regulate. Well, if that means, basically Mark Zuckerberg gets to decide what's free speech, then Congress isn't doing their job. The President of the United States wasn't doing their job. Now, private corporations are private corporations and they're allowed to do what they want. I get that. That's the fine line. That's the definitive, situation we're looking at. Can private corporations literally run things the way they want, or do they run things the way the government tells them to? As a libertarian, there's a fine line there. But to me, the answer, as a libertarian, the answer is clear, which is just leave Facebook. Just leave. There are other
Right.
social media platforms out there. I realize censorship is happening everywhere, but why isn't there a libertarian-minded person coming up with a platform that allows for freedom of speech? And so they are starting to come up. They're starting to come up. Pay attention, watch for them when they come out, and give them as much love as you used to give to Facebook. Go be very active on these
Maybe.
platforms,
Right.
and get away. I mean, how many of us would love to see Mark Zuckerberg in the poorhouse? I don't think
Oh, I'd
that's
love
ever going to
to.
happen, but for I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. So again, thank you for taking a little time out of your day to listen to our podcast. Again, we are Truth, Money, and Freedom. You may have missed out on the podcast today, but you haven't missed out on the conversation. We are on Discord. The link below to our server is provided. It's free to set up an account. You can come in and talk to American Man or Timmy Chonga or anyone else you'd like to talk to. We have a voice chat, we have a text chat. And we post news in there all the time. So come and join us if you want to. And thank you again. Have a wonderful day.